Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Maddie and today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts of the final episode of The Amazing Digital Circus. I have a lot of notes. I haven't really scripted this out, but I've made a full outline. I wanted a lot of this just to be off the top of my head. The Amazing Digital Circus episode 9 came out. Well, I didn't see it in movies, unfortunately, because there weren't any near me. But it came out on YouTube on the 19th, so this Friday. I saw it on Sunday. I've had a little bit of time to think it over. I'm recording this as of Tuesday evening. So I've gone back over it, watched certain parts again, made all my notes. And I don't want to make this intro too long because this is probably going to be one of the longest videos I've ever made on here. I'm going to go in depth with a lot of stuff. So I want to give 2 quick disclaimers and tell you what I'm going to be doing in this video. So first disclaimer, obviously, spoilers. If you haven't seen episode 9 and you still want to see it and you don't want spoilers and you've somehow avoided all the spoilers online, please click out of this video and go watch it. There are going to be a lot of spoilers. The whole thing is spoilers. And here's my second disclaimer. I'm going to be talking about my opinions regarding episode 9. If you don't agree with my opinions, that is perfectly fine. That is your right. And it's perfectly fine if you comment that. I love seeing other people's perspectives of things in the comments. I love talking to them about them. I love having even friendly debates with them. But just that, it needs to be friendly. You need to be respectful. You don't attack me over my opinions regarding things. And yeah, just be respectful, because I have to say this because this fandom can get really heated over stuff you don't need to be heated about. So, brief outline of what I'm going to be doing in this video. First of all, I'm going to be going over what happened in episode 9. Just brief rundown. After I do that, I'm going to be talking about each character, their arc in the show, what I think of them, all of that. And then I'm going to go over just things that have been happening in the fandom, a little bit about Gooseworks, the leaks, all the spoilers, all of that. And then finally, I'll probably gap for a couple minutes about just my general thoughts of the show. But yeah, I am really excited to make this video. I am uploading it sooner than I thought I would because I'm so excited. I normally don't upload videos on Wednesday, but I really wanted to make this. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. Okay, so first up, we have the glitched intro, is how I call it. So when we open up into the intro, we see no Kane or Bubble. Normally when we have the opening song, we see Kane or Bubble, and the cast is visibly distressed. We see Pomni now a lot more. And we open into the show right where episode 8 left off. I kind of wish I watched episode 8 right before this. I can see why in the theater release they had them together. So the main thing that struck me with that is how dark and gray everything was. The Amazing Digital Circus has always been so bright and saturated to the point where sometimes it's actually a little overwhelming, and suddenly you don't have any of that, and it was just so different. So obviously the cast of the show is very distressed. You know, they're trying to talk about what happened, and in the darkness of the bucket, Kinga reveals that they aren't humans trapped in a headset. They are all actually brain scans of humans that are all alive and on Earth. They have an argument. Jack says some hurtful things to Ragatha. He leaves. And after that, we realize that Pomni and Kinga, they have these powers where they can like glitch things and fix things. And it starts going to the rest of the cast, and the rest of the cast starts trying to fix the circus. Everyone except Jax. He's off trying to, you know, trauma cope in the way he does, which clearly isn't working. I would like to discuss these powers very briefly because obviously they are pretty integral to the story, and they kind of made a big deal with it when they showed Kinga doing it. It was a big deal back a few episodes ago, yet they aren't really explained a lot. I get that they're explained a little bit when Kinga talks about how he can do it and all of that, but at the same time, I wish we got to see more on that. I really do. After that, Jax just suddenly abstracts off camera. Unfortunately, I knew he was going to abstract because someone commented what was going to happen on my channel before it even was out in movies, and I'm still mad about that because I got spoilers. But I didn't expect it to be off camera, and I'm a little disappointed it was off camera. We've never seen a character abstract on camera yet, and I really just want to see how that happens. Like, did they slowly start abstracting? Is it a sudden thing? How does that happen? So I really do wish we got to see that on camera, but I guess I can understand why they didn't. So Pomni and Ragatha talk a little bit. You all got teased with Yuri. And for those of you who know what that word is, you know what that word is. I watched the live chat of the episode later on. I wasn't live, but I was watching what was said. And everyone in the live chat was just Yuri. Anyway, you all got your Ragatha ex Pomni, which I don't mind that relationship. I actually kind of like it. I mean, I don't love it, but I do like it. I think it works. So Pomni goes after Jax, and he's abstracted in the hallway that we see in the first episode, the pilot. She uses a digital gun to distract him and plunge him into darkness, which was actually pretty clever. I can see how that would work because darkness has always been a huge thing in the show, especially with Kinger. It's what keeps him sane. And after that, we go into Jax's doors, or his mind. Door 1 is a scenario where Ragatha abstracts and Jax just full-on strangles Pomni. I was really surprised to see that. Like, yes, we know Jax is capable of violence. He's, I wasn't surprised very much because of that. It's just how it just snapped. That surprised me. So door 2, Jax is in his maid outfit. Zubul had abstracted and Jax decides to flirt with Gangle. Whoever wrote that scene was on something. Like that was crazy. And then door 3, Gangle abstracts, and it's a very Looney Tunes comical type thing. I really liked the animation style of it. I think they pulled it off well considering how it's a bit different than their usual very fluid animation. They did do it well. After that, we have the piano room. There's multiple different Jaxes, and it's just, I think it's like different voices in Jax's head, all his conflicting voices. That was my take on it, and I have more takes on it that I'll talk about a bit later when I go on just about his character. Okay, and then we have his real memory room where we start seeing flashbacks of the road and different things that actually happened in his life. And I am concerned because the last time we saw flashbacks, people found out where those actual locations are in real life and they went and harassed people there. So please, if somehow you're some internet sleuth person, don't go harassing the actual people. Don't do that. You make the fandom look so bad. And then we go and see his flashbacks with Ribbit, with Kaufmo. And can I just say, I need a friend group like Ribbit and Kaufmo. They just seem like such awesome people. And we see him in the room with Ribbit, her bedroom, and they're chit-chatting. And she talks about her past, and then she pushes him about his past. And he talks about everything with his mom. And I'm not going to go into full depth with this because I'm going to be talking, again, more about this when I talk about his character in particular, because I think a lot of that really ties in with some of the takes I had on his character, because a lot of it did change my perspective on it. But that was his fallout with Ribbit, where she didn't necessarily... It's very much conflicted, She encouraged him to talk about his past, and he did, and I think it could have helped him, but then he immediately just kind of shuts down. He feels vulnerable. He can't do it. And then he starts distancing himself from her, I think because he views himself as weak around her now. And Ribbit ends up abstracting. We see Kaufmo eventually abstracting, so Jax is basically alone. He tells Ragatha he doesn't want to talk about either of them anymore. After this, we go to his Pomni and Jax have like the real room, I call it, where he talks with her and she hugs him, and for a moment I thought maybe he would come back from being abstracted, but no, he like burst into white light. I don't know whether that means he made peace with himself or what. There's a lot of takes you could have on that. So that briefly cuts off because Zubul pulls Pomni back into reality, and we can see she's starting to glitch out. From there, we transition to Kane in the Void. He's talking to himself, kind of going through everything, and he pulls that blue thing out of his head, and he destroys his twin evil AI. I don't know how to really describe it. He destroys Abel. Abel is his twin AI. I thought that was very interesting, and again, I know I keep saying this. I'm going to talk more about that when I get to each of their characters. I really wish we knew more about this whole twin AI thing, because it seems to be pretty integral to the story and Kane's character, but we know almost nothing about it. Like, what even is it? It's briefly explained, very briefly, and I don't even fully get it at this point. So Kane goes back to the crew. and apologizes for everything. They kind of accept it, say he's gonna have to prove himself, you know, all that, which is reasonable after everything he did. And he shows them their human selves, which was very interesting. I thought that was really cool. He starts helping them rebuild the circus, and they have, like, in the first episode, the pilot, we saw them all kind of like this Last Supper dinner, whereas now they're all at a round table. They're happily eating together. They've made peace with everything. And it finally ends. I actually almost didn't see this part because I'm not one to wait for end credit scenes. I never do, and it bites me every time, but this time I did. So I waited through the end credit scene, and it's a bus stop with all the actual human versions of themselves at a bus stop without knowing each other, any of that. That was really cool. I really liked that. So that was mainly what happened in episode 9. Obviously, I'm missing small details. This is just the general outline. I really did enjoy episode 9. I saw a lot of people saying, like, get your tissues ready, it's gonna make you cry, it's really sad. I didn't cry, I didn't feel the need to cry. That might just be, first of all, I don't really cry when it comes to shows and things like that. I'm just not that kind of person. But also, I just got into this fandom. I think I started watching TADC in late April, early May, I believe it was. Could be a little off of my timeline, but somewhere around in there this spring, I started watching it. So I've only known these characters for a couple of months. You guys have known these characters for what, 2-3 years? You know all this lore on them, you know so much about them, so I can really see why a lot of people were so emotionally affected by it. Okay. This is my main complaint with TADC. I think it needed to be 12 episodes. There is just so much there, and there's so much potential. This is such an amazing concept. It's a very original concept, if you ask me. The animation was amazing, everything was so good, but yet there's so much lore that's just never explained. And I get that sometimes Gooseworks will talk about it in her tweets. When I watch a show, I don't want to have to go to Twitter and do homework to find out every little bit of lore. I want it to be in the show, and that's one of my main complaints with just shows today, that whenever something needs clarified, I have to go to Twitter. I can't just watch the show. That was one of my main complaints with it. And the thing is, I don't have Twitter, and I'm going to talk about this later when I talk about the fandom in that section. I refuse to get Twitter. I'll talk about it later. So first up, let's talk about Pomni, our main character. I think Pomni is actually really a great character. Normally, for some reason, in indie shows, especially when you have a more bubbly, optimistic character, for example, in Husband Hotel, we have Charlie. I've never really been a big fan of that type of character. And I think they actually do pull it off really well in The Amazing Digital Circus. She seems very realistic. Like, if I was dropped into a circus, you can see her stages of being like, what the hell is going on? You can see her go through some sort of depression in episode 2 and partially 3. And then you can see her starting to accept it, to get more bold, to become herself, to find herself. Pomni was great. Probably some people are going to want me to say who my favorite character is. I can't really tell you because everyone in the cast has their own strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, that's my opinion on Pomni. Next up, let's move to Kinger. Kinger is just so interesting, and again, I wish we got more screen time with him because he knows so much, and I feel like we could have had so much lore with him, and he's just such a cool character. Very much the mentor archetype, so I really wish we got more on him. Ragatha, I find really relatable with her whole caretaker syndrome. I don't know if that's an actual term, I think it is, where she's trying to take care of everyone, but she herself needs taken care of. Very realistic. Yeah, like everyone in the show is so realistic. I think the characters are the strong point of the show very much. Gangle is also a good character. For some reason, I don't like them. I don't know why. I don't dislike them. I don't know. And I don't mean this as hate on the voice actor at all. Don't go harassing the voice actor. They deserve all the love they can possibly get. Just personally, I don't think her style of voice is something I enjoy listening to. And I get why she has that kind of voice. It's just not my thing. But I do think the whole thing with her mask and all of that is very well done. Next up, we have Zubul, and Zubul is such a cool person, and I can really relate with her because, you know, she's got that sass to her. Well, no, I think they're a they. They're a they, aren't they? Yeah, they. Sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Zubul is just so cool, and they get so little screen time. They're just so ignored. Out of the whole cast, they get almost nothing. I feel bad for them. I want to know more about Zubul. Jax. Okay, I've got a lot on Jax. Jax is probably one of the most complex characters in here, and I took from episode 9 that they are trans, and I think it really makes sense for their character arc. And to me, it was very apparent the way he had I get that Gooseworks said it doesn't really matter what pronouns we call them at this point, but Gooseworks confirmed that they're trans, and to me it was very evident in episode 9 with the bow in the hair, the symbolism of that, the song Isn't She Lovely playing, the fight with their mom, all of that just made a lot of sense to me. And I'm really glad we have them because we don't have a lot of conflicted trans characters. In the past couple of years, a lot of times I feel like, especially big corporations like Disney, want to get queer people's dollars. So they just put in a gay or a trans character just to be like, okay, here you go. We're not going to develop this character. Just have them. Now shut up. You've got your representation. And a lot of times it just doesn't fit. They're just there to fit in the checkbox. Jax is not like that. Jax, it makes sense. Now, I will say, a lot of people, when I was talking about this on a different video, I made a video making a joke about how when he's in the one room with the piano, he says, oh, this is a no girls allowed zone. And I was like, Jax, I'm going to hold your hand when I tell you this. But a lot of people were like, no, he's not. You can't say he's trans. And again, you are welcome to your own character interpretation. He is canonically trans. You can Google it. I get why some people might be a little hesitant to believe it, but at the same point, the amount of people who are just so averse to it, and I'm not quick to say everything is transphobia. I'm not quick to that at all. I understand Gooseworks has not been a particularly reliable source over her course of, you know, making videos, or not videos, or making the show and all that. She tends to change her mind or deceive the fans for a bigger plot twist or something like that. But some of them were just so, like, oh my god, he can't be. It's like, chill. It's a fictional character. Just chill. That's my main thing with the fandom. Chill. Oh my god. But I thought it made a lot of sense. Jax is an amazing character. Okay. Bubble. Bubble's an icon. Why didn't they come back in episode 9? I wanted to see Bubble. I wanted Bubble to have so much more of an arc or something, yet we got nothing. So that's the one character I'm disappointed about. Gummy Goo. Another character I'm disappointed about. They were an awesome character, probably one of my favorites. I really enjoyed Gummy Goo. I like that type of character archetype, yet they never came back. I wish we got to see them. I wish they had something more. And then finally, Kane. Kane is really cool. Part of me did wish that in episode 9 they were going to go full I have no mouth and must scream. If you know what that is, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, go listen to it. You can find it on YouTube, the audiobook. You can find edits of it. I thought it was going to go like that. Also, this pertains back to the episode length. Kane's death just felt so not important because he dies in episode 8 and then halfway through episode 9 he's back. If there had been a couple episodes in between that, like maybe even just one, it would have felt a lot more impactful. But no, he dies, or not dies, is deleted. We go a little bit without him. He comes right back. It cheapened it, is all I'm going to say. But yeah, again, I want to see more about that whole Abel thing, the little blue thing in his head that he pulls out, the thing that's making him go psycho. What is that? I want to know more about that. There's so much more about these characters I want to know. Specifically the lore of the circus, and we never get that. I wish we did. I will say, earlier on in the series, when we see the characters just chit-chatting with each other and talking so much, I thought it was a little odd. I'm like, why aren't we developing the story more of the circus? Now I get it, because the whole thing is basically their own mental health, and this is just imprints of their minds, and they have to deal with it all. So it makes a lot more sense now, but at the same time, it probably needed 12 episodes instead of 9. I will stand by that. Okay. That's my thoughts on the characters. Let's move on to the other more miscellaneous things like the fandom and Gooseworks. Okay, so I am going to say all of this as someone who is pretty new to the fandom. I am the type of person, I watch a show, I enjoy the show, then I go to the fandom and I want to talk about the show, I want to ask questions, I want to interact with people who know more about it than me, I want to learn, just, have the friendly debates with people. I love hearing other people's perspectives. Oh my god, with TADC fans, not all of you, but there is a big percentage of you, you cannot take criticism, you're really hostile to your own creator of the show, and that's the other thing I want to talk about is Gooseworks. Why is it every time I find a show and I'm like, oh, this is really cool, I want to learn more about the creator, what inspired them, they have these huge controversies? What is the deal with that every time? Like, for example, I used to love Black Griffin's music, Insane, all the songs they did, and now it turns out they I'm not going to get into it because that's not what this is about, but why? Every time. Also, people were saying that Gooseworks was trying to negate June 19th, the Juneteenth, a celebration in America, ending slavery of Black people, Black history, all of that, and people were saying that because she released TADC on the 19th, the finale, she released it on the 19th, that she was trying to bring attention away from that. And I get that she's had accusations with racism in the past. Don't know a lot about that. I'm not getting involved in endless internet drama. I started to try and read up on all this, and I quickly realized that ever since the show has come out, there has been drama. And if I wanted to make a video about that, it would have to be its own thing. Like, there is so much drama. Like, oh my god, how do you guys keep up with it? Like, this part of the fandom that's constantly interacting with it. How do you do it and not... What are your cortisol levels? I want to know this. Okay. So I don't think that was the intention of it, because from what I understand, Gooseworks and where TADC made is Australian. Juneteenth isn't a thing in Australia. Why would Gooseworks look up every single holiday that might happen on June 19th and be like, oh, well, I gotta postpone it? I guarantee you, somewhere in the world, there is an important holiday regarding cultures and heavy topics that you're gonna run into. You can't always skip past that. So I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think that's where it's coming from. Could be wrong. Again, I'm saying this as someone who, very white, obviously, so I get that. And if any people of color want to weigh in on it, please do. I don't think it was from that. Of course, there's the huge controversy with the voice actors saying, not necessarily saying, I don't think they actually said the N-word, but they said a corruption of the N-word. That was unnecessary. They didn't need to do that, and I can see both sides of what people are saying. Some people say, oh, it was 7 years ago, they apologized, we need to forgive it. Then other people are saying, just because it's 7 years ago doesn't make it right. I can see both sides of the argument. On one hand, people can change a lot in 7 years. On the other hand, I would need to look at what they're doing now to make up for it. Like, are they using their platform and their fame to, like, maybe, spread awareness of, not doing that? I don't know. I'm not getting into Twitter because YouTube comments can be brutal enough. Sometimes I've really struggled with my mental health because of stuff people just say. Because for every 100 comments I'll get on a video, there's always going to be like 10 of just really negative stuff, and it does really build up on you. And that leads me to Gooseworks, their whole crash out. Is Gooseworks a she or a they? I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm using the wrong pronouns again. I kind of get their crash out, and people are saying, oh, they're 20-something years old, they need to just get offline. I kind of feel bad for them on one hand, because when you're trying to interact with your fandom, I think that's a good thing, and it's almost like your own fandom is punishing you for it. The hate that she's gotten for just random things sometimes is dumb. There's some things maybe she deserves being called out for, not the hate and the threats. Like, unnecessary. We don't need to be doing that. For one time, I wish I could get into a fandom and we're just good with it. And I know there's so many people who like the show that aren't like this. It's just that one vocal minority. And I think a lot of it is that even though this is technically not a kid's show, it's not necessarily adult, but it does have heavier themes, that a lot of kids get into it, you know, like 12-year-olds, they're finding themselves, they find TADC, they watch that, and then because they haven't really matured yet, they just take everything to an extreme. And I wish we didn't do that, because even some of the people doing this, they're adults. You should know better. Everybody's allowed to have their opinions. It's why I don't go on Twitter. So yeah, there is a lot of drama in this fandom, and as someone just coming into it, also, what is the deal with the AI generated, like, Pomni pregnant by Jax? What is this? What is that? What is that? Like, some of these videos have millions of views. I looked up TADC content because I wanted to see, you know, like, commentary videos, and that's the first thing that pops up is just this AI brain rot. What was that? What was that? Can someone explain that to me? What was that? Is this something the fandom genuinely watches, or what the hell was that? Yeah. So a lot going on there. I can say from people in my channel's community, most of you have been great. When I'm talking about the show and several posts and a few shorts I've made about it so far, you guys have been great. You know, you'll talk to me about stuff. There's been a few of you who do take things a bit too far. I want to bring that to attention. Can we not do that on here? I would really like it if my channel can just stay a chill space where you can talk about your opinions, converse with people about theirs respectfully, and do that. Not everybody's going to share your opinion. Enough of that. Let's get to the conclusion of this video. So, in conclusion, I think my main things with TADC are they needed more episodes. The characters are very strong. They had very good animation. Way too dramatic fandom. Like, a lot of drama there. And yeah, that was my main takeaway. Very interesting concept. There's so much lore that we could have had there. And I am kind of glad, though, that they aren't going to be adding on a season 2, because so many shows, they have their prime. I hope you don't hear that mower out there. There's a really loud mower. Anyway, so many shows, they have their prime, people like it, and they just go on too much, and they keep building on things that don't need to be built on. So I am glad that they just stuck with that. They're just doing the one season, and that's it. Glad of that, but I do think the season needed to be a bit longer. So yeah, that's my final takeaways. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I like talking about this kind of stuff. And yeah, comment your opinions respectfully. Comment your opinions on all of this stuff. I'd love to hear your takes on the shows, your interpretation, who's your favorite character, what was your favorite episode, all of that. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a great day.